I've been getting back into Fallout 4 recently, and I've realized that there are some really good perks in this game that are actually pretty bad.
Let me tell you something! Let me tell you something!
What I mean by that is that there are a few perks that are highly beneficial to your character,
Terrific.
especially in the early game. But these perks are traps.
It's a trap!
Because picking them can seriously limit your potential in the late game. Moreover, there are some perks that are amazing all the time, but they don't work well at all from a game design perspective, and using them can cause you to miss out on some of the more interesting aspects of the Wasteland. Let me be clear, this is not a simple list of the worst perks in the game. It's obvious to everyone that Vans is a bad perk, especially if you only choose the first rank. So there's no reason to make another top 10 worst perks in Fallout 4 video. God knows the internet is already saturated as it is. Instead, this video will give you 7 perks that you could easily pick if you didn't know any better because they all have real, tangible benefits. And it's not that you should never pick these perks again after watching this video. You may very well want to pick them for the roleplay reasons, or simply because they are good perks. I just want to make sure you know what you're giving up by selecting them.
Give orange me, give eat, orange me eat.
With all that being said, I'm going to give you the good perks that I think are actually bad in order of least controversial to most controversial, with the last perk being one of the best in the game, if not the very best. So watch to the end to get infuriated by my god-awful takes. Perks number 7, 6, and 5 are what I like to call convenience perks, because they don't give your character straight benefits in terms of higher damage output or more resilience. They just make life a little more convenient, at least in the short run. They are Lead Belly, Scrounger, and Fortune Finder.
Walt, please just hear me out, please!
Lead Belly is a perk in the Endurance tree, and with all 3 ranks it makes Wasteland food non-irradiating. I've had viewers tell me that it's a good perk to get on survival difficulty, where the player needs to eat to satiate hunger, not just to replenish health or receive bonuses.
Right here. All your needs will be met.
I'm hungry!
In a minute!
Scrounger is a luck perk that increases the amount of ammunition found in containers, and Fortune Finder does the same thing for bottle caps. These perks are not bad. Well, except Lead Belly. Lead Belly is just bad. I really can't justify putting it in this video, even on survival difficulty. It's really, really bad. If it was just 1 perk point to completely eliminate all radiation from food, maybe you could justify it, but I still wouldn't get it. Spending 3 entire perk points just to make cram no longer give you radiation poisoning is an absurd thing to do. Just don't eat the cram. It is so easy to hunt animals and cook their meat on survival difficulty. There is absolutely no reason you should ever spend 3 perks on Lead Belly. If you're having trouble hunting enough food, just pick up the Double Meat magazine in Sunshine Tidings Co-op, and you completely eliminate the benefits of this perk, because you'll be drowning in grilled radstag.
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys!
And if you have to eat cram, there's a Power Armor Helmet mod that completely eliminates radiation from food anyways. So you're spending 3 perk points for something that 1 mod does. I would not have included Lead Belly in this video at all if I didn't have multiple comments defending it when I said it was bad in another video.
Lead Belly was one of the first I invested on survival mode. Lead Robert. It's pissing me off.
So if you're one of these people that thinks Lead Belly is good, that's a moral failing. You're not a good person and you have no virtue.
Time to repent your sins.
But as I was saying, Scrounger and Fortune Finder are good perks and they make life a lot easier in the early game. But the issue with them and with Lead Belly is that they solve problems that are only an issue in the early game. The early game, I'd say, is any time before level 40. It's the part of the game in which perks are easy to come by and their apparent abundance can lull the player into a false sense of security in terms of how easy it will be to get perks in the future. However, perks are incredibly rare in the late game. Looking at perks like a commodity distributed to the player over time shows that you should value them incredibly highly and never spend them on a convenience that won't be an issue at all down the road. Creating a stockpile of clean, non-irradiated food is something you can do by level 3. Creating a sustainable source of caps is also achievable through settlement building or quests, though it requires a bit more time to set up. Once you have a source of caps though, you've eliminated the need for Fortune Finder. And if you use those caps to buy ammo, you've just eliminated the need for Scrounger. If you do end up picking these perks and max them all out, in the late game, after you no longer worry about ammo, caps, or food, when you find an amazing legendary for a different kind of build altogether, you won't be able to make that weapon viable by unlocking a different damage perk because you've dumped 11 points into 3 perks that haven't been a problem for you in hours of playtime. So just make the wise decision and skip these perks altogether in the early game. Perk number 4 is not a convenience perk, but something that actively benefits your character, yet can severely limit your potential if you go too far with it. Here I'm talking about the solar powered perk at level 10 of the endurance tree. As a level 10 perk and one of the most important special stats, solar powered should be a little overpowered, and the first rank is fine to get for any build, providing an extra 2 strength and 2 endurance between the hours of 6 AM and 6 PM. The second rank, however, causes sunlight to slowly heal radiation damage, and this can severely limit your character's ability to play some pretty fun builds. The first way this limits you is by blocking you out of a very fun playstyle that becomes available after finishing the Far Harbor questline. Now, I don't want to give any spoilers for new players who haven't played Far Harbor yet, but depending on the ending you choose with Far Harbor, there's a perk that you can get that increases your damage based on how much radiation you have. It's not hard to see how you get this perk, you just gotta ally with the people who are objectively the good guys and have everyone's best interests in mind. That's right, you gotta ally with the radiation worshipping death cult.
Glory to Atom! Glory to Atom! I like these guys. They're funny guys.
This damage perk works super well with the Adrenaline Junkie build that I engineered in my first really popular video, in which you use radiation damage to keep your max health at just under 25% of your full health bar, which makes you constantly receive the benefits of unyielding armor. There are tons and tons and tons of bonuses with this build, and it's honestly a super fun playstyle.
It's the best.
I've made 3 videos about it, exploring the benefits, drawbacks, and how you can set it up for yourself. And yes, that was blatant self-promotion. Like and subscribe please now. Thank you.
Want some of this?
But the best part of the build is that you can jump into it at any time in your playthrough, provided you have found some unyielding armor. However, if you get rank 2 of the solar powered perk, you can't keep your health under 25% because your radiation damage will slowly heal. And you also can't keep your damage high with the Far Harbor ending perk that I mentioned earlier, because your radiation damage will slowly heal. Thus, unless you're fully decided that you don't want to play a high radiation, high damage, and incredibly high intelligence cannon at any point in your playthrough, I would completely avoid the second rank of solar powered. Perk number 3 limits your damage potential to an even greater extent, although it is even more useful than solar powered. Here, I'm talking about another perk in the endurance tree, Chem Resistant. At rank 2 of the Chem Resistant perk, you gain complete immunity to chem addiction, which is the source of 11 out of the 12 possible addictions in the game.
I can quit my addictive vices anytime I want!
A lot of players pair this perk with Chemist at level 7 of the intelligence tree, which increases the duration of all chems, creating a build that can indulge in as many chems as possible for added benefit with no downsides. And that's certainly a very strong playstyle. However, if you ever find a good weapon with the Junkie's legendary effect, you might start kicking yourself for taking the Chem Resistant perk. Junkies is by far the strongest legendary in the game in terms of damage output. While under the withdrawal effects of all 12 addictions, you do an added 180% more damage.
That's a lot of damage.
This is almost the same as having a double instigating effect on every bullet, no matter what the health of the enemy is at.
No, that's a lot of damage.
In light of this damage potential, the withdrawal effects are not that bad, and they can be mitigated by getting high special stats. Furthermore, if you play that Adrenaline Junkie build that I talked about early, you won't even feel the withdrawals because your special stats will already be ridiculously high from the unyielding armor benefits. Plus your damage will be even higher from the Far Harbor ending. Finally, even if you don't find a Junkie's weapon, curing yourself of addictions is not that hard to do.
It's not that hard.
Refreshing beverages are fairly easy to craft, and you can always buy a Dictol, kill rad scorpions, or just pay a doctor to cure you of your addictions. In my opinion, the potential upside of finding a Junkie's weapon is always greater than the downside of occasionally dealing with an unwanted addiction. And in every playthrough I start, I keep a cooler filled with the rare drugs I find so that I can always easily rack up my addictions if I ever do find an amazing Junkie's weapon.
Julian.
Perk number 2 is going to be controversial, as it is an amazing perk and incredibly fun to use. but I'm disappointed with how the developers implemented it into the game. In fact, when I think about how the nerds that made this game fumbled this perk, I become enraged. I get a rage at the nerds. A nerd rage, if you will. That's right, as you probably guessed, I'm talking about Pain Train. Don't worry, Nerd Rage, you're perfect just the way you are. Pain Train is a level 10 perk in the strength tree, and when maxed out, it is a phenomenal perk, allowing you to knock down human-sized enemies and stagger larger enemies by sprinting into them. There are few things more fun in this game than knocking down an entire group of raiders like pins at a bowling alley. So what's my issue with the perk? Well, my issue with it is that it's at level 10 of the strength tree, which in my opinion is not at all where it should be. One of the biggest benefits of power armor, aside from the added damage and radiation protection, is that entering a suit automatically places your character at 11 strength. Now this isn't plus 11 strength to whatever your strength stat is already at. This is a simple baseline of 11 strength, which is where I am in real life. And then individual character bonuses or penalties like withdrawal effects are applied. For example, if you used a bench press, you have plus 1 strength added to the 11 that the power armor already has, giving you 12 overall. Likewise, power armor paint jobs and mods can increase your strength as well, but the baseline is always 11. And this makes sense from a gameplay perspective because it's not you doing the heavy lifting when wearing the armor, it's the suit. Same as how the squat max of a forklift operator doesn't increase the strength of the forklift.
I'm moving this.
So, in order to maximize the benefit of wearing power armor, you probably shouldn't invest much into the strength line of the perk tree, since every added strength point makes the power armor less advantageous to you. I mean, think about it. A character with 1 strength receives a much larger bonus from wearing power armor than a character with 10 strength.
Boy, that sounds like fortune cookie wisdom to me, Billy.
No, that's just logic.
Now do you see why I think making the best power armor perk sit at the very end of the strength perk tree is bad game design? By going down the strength tree to get this perk, you are actively making your armor worse. It's frustrating to have the pathway to a great perk necessitate limiting the benefits of the very thing the perk is supposed to buff. Furthermore, with 10 strength, deep pockets, and legendary armors, you can probably carry more than you would otherwise be able to while wearing power armor, which makes no sense.
That don't make no sense.
If I were in charge of fixing this problem, I would put Pain Train at either rank 10 of the endurance tree, which increases your ability to sprint for long distances, or rank 10 of the agility tree, which increases the total number of action points you have. In both of those cases, actually getting the perk would buff the ability to use it in the first place, creating synergy. Finally, I think the new rank 10 perk in the strength tree should be called Power Armor Expert or something like that, and allow you to add your character strength to the power armor strength, resulting in an incredibly high strength stat when using power armor. You could conceive how this would be possible from a roleplay perspective, as someone who is an expert at wearing power armor could find a way to make their own strength work with the machine. Like a strongman sharing the load of a forklift.
Heavy load coming through.
Or the devs could have kept Pain Train where it is, while also adding a power armor modification that does the same thing, but requires both rank 4 of Science and rank 3 of Pain Train to make it. This is probably what assisted servos should have been, but I digress. The final perk that is really good but I think is bad is probably the best perk in the game. It is very easy to spec into since it's not far down the perk tree at all, and it has huge benefits to the player, probably more than any other perk. Without further ado, I'm talking about Lone Wanderer.
What?
Sitting at the 3rd level of the Charisma skill tree, Lone Wanderer is a perk that increases the player's carry weight by 50 and reduces incoming damage by 15% at its first rank. At its 2nd rank, which is available at level 17, carry weight is increased by 100 and incoming damage is reduced by 20%. At its 3rd rank, which is available at level 40, right at the end of the early game in my opinion, Lone Wanderer increases the player's damage by 25%. And if you've made it this far into the video, you know that I'm a sleut for extra damage. I'm a damage maxing rad-pilled chem cell.
Do it! Do it! Come on! Kill me! I'm here! Come on! Do it now! Kill me!
I will irradiate 3/4 of my body and get addicted to every single drug in existence for more damage. So it may not come as a surprise to you that for the longest time I've considered this the best perk in the game and have picked it up for every single playthrough I've ever done. except my most recent hardcore playthrough that I just started. So how can I say that this perk is bad? Well, Lone Wanderer only gives you these benefits if you are traveling without a companion, which means anybody that isn't Dogmeat, who, like my gym partner, is a good boy. So are companions good then? Is asking the player to go without a companion too high of a cost to pay for the benefits of Lone Wanderer? No, companions are complete ass. They are absolute dog water and they have very few benefits to the player, yet almost all of them will ruin your sneaking, start random fights, and judge you for taking drugs or picking up junk. Only a handful of them have a good perk to offer the player, and out of that handful, even fewer are fun to keep around. In fact, Dogmeat is absolutely the best companion from a stats perspective just by virtue of not taking away the benefits of Lone Wanderer. So how could I possibly say this perk is bad? Well, companions add something to the game that isn't reflected in the player's stats. They add personality. There was actually a ton of work put into every companion to add interesting voice lines and interactions to tons of quests and locations in the game. In short, there is a ton of content behind traveling with companions that you will straight up miss out on if you never take them with you anywhere. And this content is good. It makes the game better and makes the world feel more real. But once you've taken the Lone Wanderer perk, even if you start traveling with a companion to receive their perk, you're looking to drop them as soon as possible to get your 100 carry weight and 25% damage increase back.
Better than fist. Strong follow you always. You now Strong's leader.
I think it's best if we went our separate ways.
In summation, from a stats perspective, Lone Wanderer is way too good of a perk.
It's simply too good.
And companions are way too lackluster.
Bye! Bye-bye! Bye!
The inspirational perk, which is supposed to be the sister perk of Lone Wanderer in that it makes traveling with companions better, requires 8 charisma instead of 3, and does not benefit the player directly, only indirectly through buffing companions. But it doesn't tell you how much they're being buffed, and spoiler alert, it's not a lot. The third rank only increases their carry weight by 25 pounds, which is disappointing compared to the 100 pounds of carry weight you receive from Lone Wanderer. In every conceivable way, Lone Wanderer beats Inspirational, especially because you actually feel the benefits of Lone Wanderer as the player. This means that the companion system that Bethesda put hundreds of man-hours into developing is completely overshadowed by a single perk, and most players will miss out on experiencing the character of that system. So how would I fix this situation from a game design perspective? Well, the easiest fix would be to seriously nerf Lone Wanderer to make companions better by comparison. But I think a more fun fix would be to heavily buff the inspirational perk. Instead of making it buff companions, give the player buffs for bringing companions on his travels. Rename it from inspirational to friendship or something, and have the first rank give the player a plus 10 buff to all damage resistances when adventuring with a companion. Have the second rank give the player a boost to the effects of all consumables when adventuring with a companion, and have the third rank boost the player's special stats when adventuring with a companion. These bonuses would be sufficiently different from Lone Wanderers, but would make the perk and the companion system itself much more compelling to use. And that is my list of 7 perks that are good but actually bad in Fallout 4. If you agree with me, or if there are some perks you think I missed, let me know about them in the comments. If you disagree with me, keep it to yourself. I don't want to hear it.
Because I don't care.